My oil pressure dropped down to 25 psi. Like, wait, you know.
Dun dun dun.
Hey everybody. So today in this video, I tackled my oil pan gasket and O-ring. So with my Tahoe, it's four-wheel drive. The way I got it out was I took off the skid plate. There's two skid plates. I lowered the front differential. I did not take off the starter. I thought you had to. You don't have to take off the starter. The book says to. I was able to do it without it. My oil pressure. So my oil pressure was about 36 psi, which is okay. It's manageable. But after I did the motor flush, my oil pressure dropped down to 25 psi before I actually did all this. So 25 psi from 36 is alarming, but it's not like wait, you know. It's
Enough talk. On to the video. Got my Harbor Freight jack here, raising the vehicle. Okay, so I've got the cross member removed, skid plates removed, oil's been drained. I gotta get this bracket off of here. There's a oil cooler line bracket. I gotta get that off. Here I'm undoing one of the bolts for the front differential. Got the electrical disconnected from that guy here on the front diff. I've got the bolt in the bottom rear of the front diff over here disconnected, or out I should say. There's another one up top there I've got disconnected. Those are 21 millimeter sockets. Gotta use a big guy 1/2-inch drive. I've got my Amazon impact right here that I used to get it out. Worked pretty good. Now I gotta take this guy off. I've got to get this guy off. Top of my head, I don't know what sizes those are. It looks like 21 millimeter also. And then from then, I got this guy loose here, and there was a 10 millimeter nut. Right, 10 millimeter socket size bolt that I took out, and it slid to the driver's side. I've got those two out over there. That one's out. The bracket is out. That one was a pain. I broke it loose with a wrench, and then I had to undo it with my fingers. There's two over here I gotta get. Two over there I gotta get. That one's out there. There's a lot of caked up grime on the bottom of my pan, so I can't really see the bottom of them. After I get this front diff dropped, which I have supported with the jack, then I think I can get to this bracket over here. There's another 10 millimeter socket head bolt that I need to take out. And then I can take off the covers on the bell housing, maybe the starter. I think, yeah, the starter probably has to come out. And there's an electrical there for the oil sensor that has to come out. Alright, so the next thing I'm after is this oil pressure, or I'm sorry, oil level sensor. And it was on the top, this little access point. So I went and loosened it up so I can get my screwdriver in here. And this thing is just dirty. Plastics will be gentle. There we go, finally. The next thing I need to start doing is the oil pan bolts. Front diff is lowered a little bit.
So right about here, you should see an oil pan come off. But what happened was my camera died and I didn't know it. So it actually went pretty easily. Once I undid the last bolt, the thing just dropped down. I didn't have to hit it or anything, which was sweet. So I did use that gunk motor flush, and this is what my oil pan looks like. Look at all that sludge. It's a lot of shit. Anyway, I'm going to work on cleaning it up. This oil pan looks pretty bad. Took out the oil pan. I took out the... can't remember what that thing's called. I took out the inlet pump tube. And yeah, going to clean it up. Well, here's the bottom end of my engine. I've been working on cleaning the gasket surface for the oil pan. It's starting to get late. I was working on the oil pan. I didn't want to buy a new one. I just was going to clean up the old one and reuse the old one. There's the oil inlet tube opening right there. I cleaned that out with some chem tool. The O-ring that came out was flat. And the O-ring I'm going to put in is an orange one. The one that came out was green. So I'm going to compare the two. And as long as they're close, then I'm just going to put the orange one in and pray. I did this without dropping the front diff all the way. It's possible. It's doable. Don't think that you have to take the front. Okay, here I am. I've got to get the gasket open. I've got to get that on the pan. Give it one more wipe down. But the surface looks ugly, but it feels good. It's nice and smooth. And then I got a new oil level sender that I got to put in the side here. And I'm pretty sure it's got an O-ring. If you're doing this, you install an O-ring, you want to put it in with oil on the O-ring. And when I put the gasket on the pan, I'm going to secure it with zip ties. When I watched Rickafix's video on this, somebody commented on the bottom suggesting to use zip ties to hold the gasket in place. And then once you get the pan up, you just clip the sides of the zip ties and you can pull them right out. Sounded like a really good idea to not fight it. Here's the gasket on the pan all ready to go. I got my zip ties here, and this hole and the other hole. My advice is to look to see which are good holes to put the zip ties into, because I ended up putting them on bad holes. It was hard to get the wire cutters in there to clip them. So I had to finagle some bolts in there, and then I finally got it. But I struggled for a minute. The hardest part getting the pan back up is that you got that wire bracket in the front of the engine that gets in the way, because tension is on that and it's pulling towards the back side of the engine. So keep in mind, just to get that out of the way, watch your RTV, and it goes pretty smooth.
Damn. Put that in a fucking bad spot, didn't I?
Get all your bolts back in. This pan's got two big bolts that go from the bell housing to the back of the oil pan. Get them all finger tight, and then you want to check the clearance between the bell housing and the oil pan for 0.01 of an inch. So that's 1/1000th of an inch, I believe. You want to make sure that there's only that much of a gap in between the pan and the bell housing. If it's too big of a gap, tighten up one of the bolts on the bell housing to bring in the pan closer before you torque everything down. When you torque everything down, you want to do it to, I think it's 18 pound-feet on the 10mm bolts, and everything that's smaller is 106 inch-pounds. And the two big guys in the back are like 35 foot-pounds.
Alright, here's the moment of truth. Oil pressure looks good. Of course, I have no gas.
Hopefully you made it through the whole video. I tried to cut out as much crap as I can. I tried to speed it up as much as I can. It's not a good how-to video, but at least you're seeing my experience of doing the oil pan. I was quoted $600 on this job, so I saved that by doing it myself. A lot of the things you see me use are Harbor Freight tools. I used an Amazon impact wrench. I used an Amazon electric cordless socket wrench. They both did good. I was impressed with them. The impact was actually really good. The electric socket is kind of on the cheaper side, but I tell you what, it sped up the whole job. This vehicle, I thought, needed a rear main seal. When I took the pan off, the flex plate was dry. And I thought, well, that's weird, because I could have swore it was going to be, a rear main oil seal. Maybe it was an oil pan coming out of the back. So I cleaned everything up, put it back together, and looking at it again, it's still coming out of the backside of the engine. So more likely it's coming from the gasket on the rear engine cover plate that holds in the rear oil seal. So the seal's probably fine, but the gasket's not, most likely. Yeah, so if you like the video, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications for when I make new videos, and I'll try and keep these Tahoe videos rolling.